Hey there, baseball fans. Nathan Rohde and Shooter Hunt here with the latest episode of Coffee and Curveballs. Shooter, we're marching through our recruiting rankings. We've done the SEC, the ACC Atlantic Division, so now we've got the ACC Coastal Division.
Yeah, nice to wrap up the ACC here. There's always tons of talent rolling through the Atlantic Coast Conference, not just in basketball, not just in football, but baseball especially.
No doubt. So let's start it off right in my backyard. We got the Duke Blue Devils, who several years ago made a coaching change, and these guys have really taken Duke to the next level. They are competitive year in, year out, started making the NCAA postseason, and that's now showing up in the recruiting aspect of things as they're really starting to get a lot of talent committed to Duke, and some of those guys are ending up on campus. This class, 2019, the guy that they're going to be sweating is their top recruit in Sammy Ciani, the outfielder from Pennsylvania, and the younger brother to Mike Ciani, fourth rounder last year of the Reds.
Yeah, he's continued to progress real quickly. The ball just sounds different off his bat. But it's not just Ciani. You're talking about Chad Knight, a big right-handed bat from up in Connecticut. Billy Seidel, a really nice-looking arm from up in Massachusetts. Fastball into the low, mid-90s, nice little slider to work with it. It just goes top about it. And Duke is a national brand. It's a worldwide brand. So they're able to go out and get Marcus Johnson from California, who I got to watch last year. Big projectable, basketball player too, very athletic. I think there's a lot more in the tank there. I really like this Duke class.
Mm-hmm. They also got a two-way guy in Thomas Keene, who recently had Tommy John surgery. So once he's healthy, he'll be on campus. So I think really Ciani's the only guy that they're going to be worried about, but I think there's a chance that they get him. So could be a pretty big-time class for Duke when we reorganize in the fall and talk about recruits. So Let's move on to Georgia Tech. Again, I mean, they really do try to protect their backyard, but they're also not afraid to go outside of the state and outside of the region, really, to get some talent. And you can see that in their number one recruit in Drew Compton, the third baseman out of New Jersey.
Yeah, Georgia Tech, I mean, when I was growing up, they always had guys from the Northeast heading down there to Atlanta. It was a big program. So to see a guy like Drew Compton and Stephen Reed, another New Jersey product, who are actually both from the same high school, is impressive there in Atlanta, because Drew Compton, as you got to see all summer and fall, has the potential to be a middle-of-the-order bat from both sides of the plate. Third base, maybe some left field, first base, but the bat's definitely going to play for him.
Mm-hmm. And then you got right-hander Zach Maxwell, who's a big frame guy, very imposing on the mound, super easy delivery, and he can run it into the low 90s. I'm sure he will throw harder down the road. So once again, the Yellow Jackets bringing in some talent, so we'll see how that plays for them down the road. But speaking of talent, the Hurricanes of Miami obviously always pull in tons of Florida guys. They've got some Puerto Rico commits as well. I think they have a chance to get hit kind of hard with the draft, with their top two recruits being shortstop Matthew Lugo out of Puerto Rico and right-hander Alex McFarland, who's from the Virgin Islands but is actually playing his spring ball in Georgia at Georgia Premier Academy.
Yeah, and Miami's always got great commits who have a chance to get drafted, so this is nothing new to the Hurricanes. But even past that, Carson Palmquist, a left-hander who I'm a big fan of, loose arm action. I think he's going to throw a lot harder once he gets on campus. Highland Hall, good-looking athletic outfielder, big-time arm, can really defend, right-handed hitter. But Dylan Eskew, who on the bump, I've seen him in the low 90s with a really good breaking ball, steps across his body, making it a little deceptive. I think he also hits a little bit, so you know that there's some athleticism there with what he's bringing to the program. Jared Thomas, a catcher from Orange Lutheran out in Southern California, Orange County. So they're really getting after it and doing a great job at Miami.
Mm-hmm. Another program that's pretty used to losing some guys to the draft, and they'll be sweating it again with the 2019 crop. That's North Carolina. I mean, right at the top, they got the number 2 guy in the country in right-hander Brendan Malone, who's from North Carolina, pitching at IMG Academy this spring. As we're recording this, he's actually pitching for Team USA against the Dominican Republic. But big-time arm, low to mid-90s, can touch higher. But then you add in Joe Charles, who throws hard, Eric Grintz, a pretty good catcher out of Pennsylvania. Those 3 guys, definitely could not see campus because of the draft. But then if you look at players like Tyler Kehoe and Tyler Causey, if you can get guys like those to campus along with the rest of the class, Isaiah Bennett's going to be there because he's going through Tommy John surgery. it still could be a pretty strong class, even if you lose the guys at the top.
Yeah, and it would be nice to get Joe Charles has a real high ceiling. So working with Coach Woodard there and the pitching staff, getting all that stuff to come together, you're looking at a potential Friday night guy. Eric Grint's, as you said, a really good athletic catcher who can even play the outfield the way he runs. But moving even further down, you're talking about some winners like Sean Rapp out of New Jersey, plays at a really good Del Barton program that has guys like Anthony Volpe and Jack Leiter, both committed to Vanderbilt. So this class has some depth even outside of those top guys who, Brendan Malone's probably not making the campus.
Probably not. So, but moving up to the northern part of the conference, we got Pittsburgh. Kind of a transition for them. They're going through a coaching change. They had a big 2018 class, so this 2019 class is small.
Yeah, and I'm sure Mike Bell, the new head coach there, comes from Florida State, so I'm sure he'll try to tap into those Florida roots to get some players up, which they already have. But like you said, the 2018 class was very big, and they kept, I'm almost certain, almost all of them in the class to stay on campus for this year, so they didn't need much. But one guy they had reclassify from a 20 to a 19, right, Rody?
Yes, he did. Zion Spearman out of Pennsylvania, so they actually get him a little bit earlier than they initially expected. So definitely a good pickup for Pittsburgh. But moving on to in the Coastal Division of the ACC, we've got Virginia, who again another strong class. Certainly some draft implications here, but we talked about with the SEC teams like Florida and Vanderbilt getting their guys to campus. Virginia's that team in the ACC. They get a lot of their guys to campus. Some of them even withdraw themselves from the draft. But Jack Kashanowitz is their top recruit, a pitcher that you and I are both huge fans of. And we were talking right before we started recording. Chris Newell, I'm sitting here just looking at this class. He reminds me of Jarrett Parker, who was a big left-handed hitting outfielder from Virginia a couple of years ago.
Yeah, Newell certainly looks the part, just standing in there, 6'2", 200 pounds. It's a strong frame. He's going to get seen a lot in Pennsylvania throughout the spring, but a good-looking middle-of-the-order type bat. But even past that, Tate Ballestero, who we've talked about on the show before, is a long, athletic, switch-hitting catcher who can really receive, but he's going to pack on 25, 30 pounds on campus and become a big-time guy if he's not drafted. And I can't believe you're going to let me talk about Max Codier.
I was hoping you'd tee me up for him.
But out of Connecticut, infielder who back-to-back years at Area Codes was outstanding. And he has that Virginia-type player written all over him where he plays hard, blue collar, sprays the ball from gap to gap, and just does not give in during at-bats.
No, he certainly doesn't. Really good hitter, good infielder. I am really good college player. Looking forward to seeing him in Charlottesville for the Cavaliers. But wrapping up the Coastal Division is Virginia Tech. And the Hokies got some talent coming out of Virginia, but they've also dipped into that New Jersey hotbed of talent as well, Shooter.
Yeah, they've really crushed that I-95 corridor. And with a new stadium, new facilities, it's getting easier to recruit down there at Virginia Tech. But Steven Restuccio, a big right-hander we saw up the 95. I'm sure we'll get to see again at the Super 60 soon. But that's a big-time arm, potentially. Xander Hamilton from your neck of the woods in North Carolina, potential two-way guy. I really like him on the mound. It's a low 90s fastball with a real good slider. Cade Hunter, catcher from New Jersey, who really did well at our Future Games a couple years ago. But having him behind the plate to handle the staff, and he's a left-handed stick, and he can run too. I think he's a 6'5" runner.
Yeah, pretty good athlete.
Really good athlete. But this is a nice class, and Virginia Tech continues to take those steps forward into the point where I think in a couple of years we're going to be talking about them as, hey, they're coming off this regional performance, this super regional performance. Oh, yeah, they also got Henry Weicker, a left-hander out of Massachusetts who can spin it from the left side, and Fritz Genther, a shortstop from New York, who can really pick it. I think he's going to be a fun one to watch in the ACC.
That's a great name, too. So good look there at the Virginia Tech Hokies. So there's the ACC Coastal Division for you. Be sure to check out other episodes of the Coffee and Curveballs for the SEC. We've now finished up the ACC, but coming up, we've got the Big Ten, the Big 12, the Pac-12, and we'll even take a look at some power majors. But as always, for Shooter Hunt, I'm Nathan Rohde. This was Coffee and Curveballs, and until next time, we'll see you guys at the ballpark.